Everything you love was once a project. The apps you tap, the bridges you cross, the shows you stream. None of them happened by accident. Behind every one of them was a dream, a team, and a project manager trying to hold it all together. I'm Rick Morris, and this is AI Driven PM, the show where project managers stop playing games, embrace reality, and use AI to make dreams come true without burning out their people. Each week, we'll blend real world project war stories with practical ways to put AI to work. How to plan smarter, negotiate better dates, protect your team, and focus on the work that actually moves the needle. If you ever thought there has to be a better way to do this, then you're in the right place. Let's get to work. This is AI Driven PM. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of AI Driven PM. I'm Rick Morris, here to guide you through how AI is impacting our universe as project managers, portfolio managers, product managers, program managers, and people managers for that matter, any of the PMs that are out there. Today, I want to talk about coaching first and being a PM second. I referenced in the last episode about going through a personal development journey and joining the John Maxwell team. You know, I've had been blessed to be able to do country transformations with John, be a part of an executive council, and really kind of expand my thinking in how I developed personally. And I remember when I first went to the team and was getting certified as a coach. I really was getting certified as a coach because it was part of the program. But I remember I really wasn't that interested, to be honest with you. I wasn't, and it's because, I don't know if I had a negative connotation towards coaching or if it's just one of those things like, hey, I feel like I'm okay in my career, I'm doing well, don't know what I need a coach for. And I think maybe there's a lot of you out there that are like that. And but I went to this training, and Christian Simpson was the trainer, and he he hit me with a quote that changed my perspective, really changed my career at that point. But he was talking about being a directive as a leader, and how most people just answer questions, tell people kind of what to do, and I feel like I was very directive as a leader. And I remember I would get very frustrated because I couldn't take a week off. If like I decided to take a week vacation for my company, my phone would ring all the time. It was very frustrating. I was like, man, I just want to take a few days. Like, how's the world continue when everybody else takes off? But if I take off, I'm getting bombarded, or I come back and it's just disaster areas everywhere. And quite frankly, it's because I wasn't being a good leader. I was being a manager. I wasn't being a good leader. And Christian does this exercise. I don't want to give away the exercise, but at the end of it, essentially he has us do this activity, and we're telling people how to do things, and then he shows us how to coach them to where they learn. And the quote that he hit me with is, if you give somebody the answer, you rob them of a lifetime of learning. And that really impacted me. And it's funny because my kids will get frustrated with me, but they'll be like, Dad, I don't know how to do this, and I'm like, well, what did Google say? And I'm not doing that to be flippant or whatever. What I want them to do is to be curious and to be asking and to be looking for other things, not just come to somebody for the answer. Because if I give you the answer and you didn't have the opportunity to learn it, then once I've given you that answer, you're probably going to ask that question again because you didn't learn it. But if you figure it out and you learn it to get to the answer, then you'll always remember that answer. I wrote a blog post years ago called, what's the difference between a good employee and a great employee? And that the answer was Google. Like, good employees do what they're supposed to, but then they stop and wait when they're stuck. Great employees at least will try to go find the answer before they come, and ask for the answer. So that's coaching, right? So coaching first, being a PM second. Well, secondarily, again, for all of those people that think AI is going to replace project management, yeah, it's going to replace, potentially building out the project plan. Like I've seen, I have a lot of friends, they're doing phenomenal things where it's doing requirements and writing use cases and writing, out summary documents, all these different things. And you're like, well, AI is going to replace me. Well, if you feel like you're on that spectrum, then you are being a manager and not a leader. And AI can build the project plan, but how does it get executed? And how do you coach the humans through the ambiguity and the conflict and the fear that AI can't touch. So the shift is from that manager to coach or leader. So your old PM role, and I never really believed in this much. I hear it all the time. In fact, when I went to Agile training for the first time, like years ago, when I went for my first Agile class, the way they described project management was command and control. Like, here's the plan, here's your task, go do it. And every time they talked about project management, it sounded like they were describing just Godzilla just going through and wrecking cities, right? And anytime they talked about Agile, it was like, communal living and group hugs and butterflies everywhere. It was like everything with project management was control, but everything in Agile was servant leadership. I always felt like I did servant leadership as a project manager, certainly after I went through that personal development journey. And so the old PM was like command and control, whereas the new PM role is really enable and empower, right? What do you need to succeed and how can I remove obstacles? That's our job. We're servant leaders that are constantly just clearing the way so our best people can get their best work done. But I think coaching is going to matter more now than ever in the AI area because AI can automate again task management, scheduling, reporting, some of these things that are out there. But what's left is the emotional side of it, conflict navigation, capability building. And teams, they don't really need bosses. They need coaches who can help them perform at their best. When we talked about influence, we talked about reciprocity. Well, if you're clearing roadblocks and enabling people to be their best, then in return, they want to do their best for you. It's how reciprocal works or reciprocation works. So you have to have a coaching mindset, right? We ask questions to help people discover their own answers, versus a manager who provides the answer and directs the action. And coaching works because people own the solutions that they create, and when they do that, they also perform at their best. But if you give a solution that's imposed on them, it leads to what we talked about in the last episode, kind of that change management, that resistance and revenge, and ultimately resentment. So there's some core skills you should work on as a project manager, which, active listening. So hear what's not being said, like the fear, the frustration, the confusion. Powerful questions. So help people think different, not just answer you. Hold space, right? Pause, create safety for those hard kind of conversations that need to be had. Capability building, right? So develop people, don't just extract work from them. And then accountability with empathy, right? So high standards and high support. So that's going to be our today's focus on AI-driven PM is like learning the coaching question framework, use AI to prepare for coaching conversations, and then practice coaching in a real team situation. So your non-negotiable experiment this week is this coaching conversation planner. Let's use AI to prepare for a coaching conversation with a team member. So what we'll do is we'll take a break. We'll run a commercial here really quickly, and we'll be back with the screens up, and we're going to get prepared for coaching conversations.
In today's economy, leaders are looking for a different kind of consulting partner. A partner that will work with you to understand your culture, technology, and employees. A partner that will develop the solutions you need, not the solutions they know best. For us, it's never been about simply checking a box. Since we were founded in 1999, Centric Consulting has established a reputation for solving its clients' toughest problems by delivering flexible, tailored, cost-efficient solutions, all centered on the right outcomes for each business. It's all part of our mission to deliver an unmatched experience you won't get anywhere else. Centered on what's best for you, Centric is ready to guide you on the journey ahead.
All right, and we are back. Now, again, all of the prompts can be found at pmthatworks.com. So if you go over to the blog site, there's a blog post that releases with every episode, and all of the prompts are at the bottom. You can literally cut and paste them directly from there, so that you can have these prompts. So let's go through our coaching conversation planner. Again, this is your non-negotiable experiment. So you're an executive coach training project managers to coach their teams effectively. First, ask me 4 to 6 questions about the team member, the situation they're facing, what I've observed, and what outcome for the conversation. Then provide a coaching conversation plan answering what is the coaching goal for the conversation. What powerful questions should I ask to help this person think through the situation themselves? What am I listening for? So, underlying concerns, assumptions, blind spots, emotions. How do I balance support with accountability? What's my opening? So, how do I create set a tone and create safety? And what's my closing? How do I ensure clarity and commitment to action? So, I'm going to put these in and then we'll let it think and start to generate some questions, but then I'll share the situation I'm going to put in. So the situation is that one of my engineers on the social wishing project, Sarah, she's a senior backend engineer, has been withdrawing from the team. She used to be vocal in planning meetings and code reviews, and now she's quiet and just says whatever the team decides. Her velocity's still fine, but her engagement's down. I've noticed she seems frustrated during scope change conversations. She's been working late, but not talking about blockers. And in one-on-one, she gives short answers and doesn't really bring up any concerns. I want to have a coaching conversation to understand what's going on and help her re-engage without being accusatory or making her defensive. So that's the situation I'm going to put in. And we'll see what ChatGPT and Claude say. So ChatGPT first says your coaching goal, primary goal is motivation and capability support. Secondary goal is early problem identification. So the insights, it says, Sarah still delivers work, output remains stable, the risk sits in disengagement. Senior engineers influence architecture, team energy, and decision quality. So if she withdraws, the team loses signal. The conversation aims to understand the source of frustration and restore her sense of influence over the work. So powerful questions. It says start broad and move towards specifics. So understanding her experience. So I've noticed you've been quieter in planning and reviews. What has the last few sprints felt like from your perspective? Um, I don't know if I would start with, I've noticed you've been quieter in planning and reviews. I probably would start with what parts of the project feel energizing right now and what parts feel draining. I like that. Um, and then exploring frustration around scope changes. So again, what's really important here about being coached is I've noticed the behavior, but I don't know if it's real or not. Like it could be something that she's doing, just not even sure. So I don't want to accuse her. So I really like in the exploring frustration and scope changes, it says when scope changes come up, what goes through your mind? It's a great question. Like, tell me what you're thinking, or if you had more influence on those decisions, what would you change? It's a good question. Surfacing hidden blockers is, I notice you've been working late. What problems are you carrying that maybe the team doesn't see? Or what issues are slowing you down that we should bring into the open? So signals, so things to listen for: hidden frustration, loss of influence, burnout patterns, unspoken conflict, loss of meaning. Um, those are all good. And then it gives you an example opening here. So let's read this and see what it says. So Sarah, I want to check in on how things are going for you on the project. I've noticed a shift over the last few sprints. Used to drive a lot of discussion and planning and reviews, and lately you've been a little bit, quieter. Your delivery's still strong, so this isn't about performance. I'm just more interested in how the project's feeling from your perspective. It's not bad. It's not bad. Again, I'm not sure if I would get into behaviors in the opening, but it really works. Let's see what Claude has done. So Claude says, it looks like you sent the situation description again without a specific request. So what do you need next on the Sarah situation? So I want to refine the coaching plan. And now Claude is asking me, what do I specifically want to refine? And I'll say, I want to, the questions I ask and how I open the conversation. So we'll see what it says to that. So Claude's going to think about it here for a second. It says 2 quick questions before I revise. See, again, though, this is that Socratic prompting. And I do like this because instead of just pumping out an answer, it's asking for clarity so that you're getting better thinking. And that's really strong. So how well do I know Sarah outside of work deliverables? Now, ChatGPT didn't go there, right? So really good question. So we can say, we're cordial, but mostly task focused. Let's just say that. And then what's your read on the most likely root cause? Another good question. I'll say burnout or personal stress is bleeding in. is what I'm saying, because she's working late and she's being quiet. So here's the questions and opening. So revised opening. So say, Sarah, I wanted to carve out some time that isn't about tickets or sprint status. I've been thinking about how you're doing overall, not just what's shipping. How are you actually doing? That's a great opening one, right? Very broad, kind of opens it up with tone. Doesn't say, oh, I've noticed this or I've noticed that. You know what I mean? Like, just listen, I wanted to carve out some time. This isn't really going to be getting into performance. I just, really want to see how you're actually doing. Then it says, so and again, now Claude is coaching me. So ChatGPT, I think, does a really good job at framing answers. I think Claude does a little bit better job at coaching. Now, again, ChatGPT has been refined over years of me using it. So I'm not always looking for that coaching piece, but I'm more looking for that thinking partner and idea generation. So I think the reason why ChatGPT may be, responding that way is certainly my fault, right? But Claude, I do like it says, do this opening, then stop, full stop. Don't add qualifiers or softeners after that question. Let her decide how much to give you. Then if she says fine or busy, follow with, I believe that you're busy. I guess what I'm asking is whether busy feels okay right now or whether it's starting to wear on you. So now we're starting to get into a little bit more piece. It says for a question sequence, do energy and load, then work experience, then what she needs. Love it. And then one adjustment to, watch out. If she deflects, reduce the risk entirely. So you don't have to have an answer right now. I just want you to know I'm paying attention and I'm not going anywhere. So really like, the coaching and the direction it's there. But how many times have you actually sat down and you got to talk to somebody, but have you gone through and thoughtfully come up with the questions that we ask, what you're hoping to hear, what to do when you pivot? Like these are all game changers when we're trying to get to coaching somebody and getting to a breakthrough. Let's look at another prompt. So a prompt would be a powerful coaching questions library. So again, you're trying to become better at that coaching position. So you're a professional coach creating a question library for PMs to use in team conversations. Ask me 2 to 3 questions about common situations I face with my team, like performance issues, conflict, low morale, ambiguity, or resistance. Then provide a library of powerful coaching questions organized by situation type, answering what are 5 to 7 coaching questions for each situation type, what each question is designed to unlock, whether it's self-awareness, ownership, options, or commitment. When should I use open-ended questions versus more directed questions? And how do I avoid leading the witness and let people arrive with their own insights? Again, don't give people the answer, allow them to discover the answer so that they learn. So I'm going to put that in with a little bit of a scenario in, or I pre-filled in some of those situations that I commonly face, and let's see what they both come back with. One thing I'm really enjoying on Claude from ChatGPT just out of the gate, I do like how Claude kind of formats things. I'm pretty sure I could train ChatGPT to do that, but the formatting is very nice out of Claude in how we can actually how I see information. So I do like that. So let's go through some of the questions that came up here. So what options have you already considered? If you had to make the decision without me, what would you do? What information would help you move forward? What is the smallest step you can take to test the direction? Yeah, I like those. That's for this is, your team member stuck and keeps escalating. Situation 2, two team members in conflict. What outcome do you want from this situation? What do you think the other person is concerned about? What part of disagreement is about facts versus preferences? These are all good things. Claude is saying, what have you tried so far is what happened? What's stopping on you from acting that? What do you think the right answer is? I like those. What outcome do you really want from this situation? What have you said to them directly about this? I'm gonna have to sidebar in this one because this is one of my favorite things. So I've been through the personal development journey. I feel like I'm strong in people development and all the things, but we're still people and we still have our moments. And I was working for Brendan Bouchard at Growth Day, and building out that tool. And Brendan is a personal development coach, and he's phenomenal at what he does. And I remember I was having an issue with a specific employee, and I was just frustrated. And I called Brendan, and I was like, "Look, I got to talk to you." And I went on and on and on and on about my frustrations, and Brendan just listened. And at the end, he asked me one question, and it just blew my mind. But he goes, huh, well, what did he say when you told him all this? And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. So when you told all this to the person you're complaining about, what did he say? And right then I was like, I haven't said anything about it to him. And I realized exactly what he was coaching me to do. And what a fun, not like I've never forgotten that. And not only have I not forgotten that, that has changed my behavior and exactly the point of, Brendan could have said, hey, listen, you don't need to be talking about people like that. You need to go have this conversation with him. I don't think I would have learned. Right. I don't think I would have picked up that life learning lesson. But when he made me arrive at that answer, when he said, well, what did he say when you told him all this? And instantly my brain went through, well, I haven't talked to him. Maybe I should. And right, I shouldn't be complaining to his boss unless I've actually tried to deal with this one-on-one. And again, a lifetime of learning was unlocked for me. So exact example of why we ask these types of questions in these situations. Let's look at a couple others. So team members underperforming but unaware. So um, how do you think the last sprint went from your perspective? What parts of the role feel most challenging right now? What support would help you perform at your best? What I like those. Let's see if Claude's come up with anything. What are you most proud of from the last month, and what would you do differently? Um, what feedback have you received recently that surprised you? Is there anything in the way of you doing your best at work that I don't know about? Again, those are nice ones. In that, I would be trying to unlock that self-awareness side of it, where um, they don't think that there's a problem, right? And so, how do we get them to realize maybe that there is? Still, though, um, really, really good question generation. And again, this is being used for thought leadership and ways for us to be able to go after it. So let's see, team member wants career growth. Here, avoiding leading the witness. I want to just see here, avoiding leading. Many managers accidentally push people towards a predetermined answer. So example of leading, don't you think we should handle the architecture this way? The better approach is what architecture options do you see? Same here, embedded assumptions. Do you think it would help them to talk to them directly? Assumes the answer, replaced with what options have you considered? Yeah, it's a nice. And it gives us a little bit of sequencing. So again, the point being is you want to become better as a coach. You want to learn some of these questions. Our AI thinking partners will help generate some great information to help us. All right, last one we'll talk about is a conflict coaching facilitator. So maybe there's conflict happening and you just want to be prepared for whatever could go, wherever that conversation could go when we go through it. So you're a conflict resolution coach helping PMs facilitate team conflicts. Ask me 4 to 5 questions about the conflict, the people involved, what each person wants, and what I've observed about the dynamic. Then provide a facilitation strategy answering what is the underlying conflict, the goals, values, communication styles, resource scarcity, or misunderstanding. How do I create a safe space for the conversation? What coaching questions do I ask each person to help them articulate their perspective and needs? How do I guide them towards mutual understanding, not just compromise? And what agreements or commitments do we need to leave the conversation with? How do I follow up to ensure the conflict is resolved and not just paused? And then I give it a situation. So we'll put these into our tools and we'll see what amazing things that our AI thinking partners come up with. All right, so Claude starts with, what is the underlying conflict? On the surface, this is an architecture debate. It is not. Architecture debates between 2 senior engineers rarely stay technical this long unless something else is driving them. This conflict really has 3 layers: risk tolerance and time horizon, identity and credibility, and decision authority ambiguity. That's really nice. It says until you address layer 3, layers 1 and 2 will keep feeding each other. I really, really like that. Let's see how ChatGPT says it. They said underlying conflict. This conflict looks technical on the surface, but real tension likely sits in values and risk tolerance. Sarah likely prioritizes long-term scalability and architectural correctness, and she wants to avoid technical debt and painful rewrites later. Tom is wanting speed and pragmatic delivery. He wants to ship the MVP quickly and reduce complexity early. Both positions protect the project from risk, but the conflict escalates because each sees the other's position as irresponsible. So Sarah sees Tom as cutting corners. Tom may see Sarah as slowing the team with unnecessary complexity. So the goal of the conversation is to reframe the debate from personal positions to shared project outcomes. Both great answers. Walks us through creating a safe space. Let's look at some of the questions. So Tom says, for Tom, we should say, what risk do you see if we start with microservices? What assumptions are you making about future scale or complexity? Let's see, Claude says, what specifically makes you confident a monolith won't become a problem at scale? What's your read on where the product is heading? Yeah, all of these are great. Again, we don't need to read all of these at this point because I want you to actually put these prompts in with meaningful things so you can see it. I just want to show you the results and get you thinking in a different way of like, hey, I've got conflict. Let's do a lot of preparation from a coaching perspective. And what I think AI does a really nice job of is helping us think through or identify what's not being said versus what's being said. So to wrap up, as we're really getting into this AI era, and I'm dealing it with clients right now. We have clients that are moving to AI first development and really looking at AI-driven modern delivery systems. And people are scared for their jobs. They really are. And PMs, especially, so PMs in the AI era must coach first and manage second, right? Coaching equals asking powerful questions, not providing all the answers. And people tend to own the solutions that they discover themselves. So it's learning how to deal with the people side, because the task automation side is going to get done. And it's going to free up more time for this exploration. Your non-negotiable experiment this week is using the coaching conversation planner to prepare for a real coaching conversation this week, and ask at least 3 coaching questions and resist that urge to provide the answers, especially if you've never done it before. What to notice? How does the person respond to the questions versus directives? Do they arrive at solutions you hadn't thought of? And does coaching build capability and ownership? So that's it for this episode. Next time, we're going to talk about work-life balance 2.0 and how AI changes that always-on PM trap. Really excited to share with some of these different kind of ways of utilizing AI to help explore becoming better PMs and really better coaches in the long run. That's it for this episode. We hope you'll join us next time. We'll see you soon. I'm Rick Morris, and this has been AI Driven PM. Keep protecting your people, telling the truth, and making dreams come true.